Welcome to NHRA Speed for All and the U.S. Nationals from Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're going to kick things off with our first funny car semi-final, which will feature Ron Capps and John Force. Jeff Deal was the round 1 winner last week. And this week, did not qualify in the top 8 to make the show. I am advancing these down to the semifinals, not showing round 8 for time, just to keep the video shorter. So let's get into this first semifinal. Ron Capps and John Force.
Driver smoked the tires, but somehow still managed
John
to take the
Force hit the wall and crossed the center line,
and we're
giving the first semifinal to Ron Capps. In our second semifinal, we will see Bob Tasca III go against J.R. Todd. Last week, Tasca did not qualify, and J.R. Todd made it to the semifinals last week. Out of the Pacific Coast. So we are going to get set for our second semifinal here. They are both pre-staged. Bob Tasca gets the jump.
Let's take you back to Bob Tasca, who won with a runaway finish
And takes the win. Oh, he did not get the jump, but he did take the win. And now we are going into Pro Stock. Pro Stock semifinals. We'll see first semifinal. We'll see Vincent Nobile go against Dallas Glenn. Erica Enders picked up the win last week, and she'll be in our second semifinal this evening. Dallas Glenn did not qualify last week, and Vincent Nobile was out in round number 1. So as we get set for this semifinal, Dallas Glenn heading towards the wall there a little bit, out of the groove, but still picks up the win. A 6:26. And into our second semifinal, we will see Erica Enders go against Kyle Gretzky. Erica Enders did pick up the win, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago last week. She has with that, she does have a points lead. This is my second round of my short series season. Erica Enders, good race there.
Erica Enders with a
close race towards the end. Erica Enders with a 6:76. Now we are going into Pro Mod. One of my favorite classes in this game. Probably my favorite class in this game. In our first semifinal, we'll see Billy Glover and Aaron Blackman. I don't think any of these drivers are real life drivers per se. Aaron Blackman made it to the finals last week, and here he is in the semifinal this week. But Billy Glover takes the first semifinal here this weekend with a 5.780 into our second semifinal. We will see Jack Huffman go against Zachary Stevens. Jack Huffman and Zachary Stevens. Last week, Zachary Stevens picked up the win, and Huffman lost in the round of 8. Our first round in this series. Both pre-staged here. And the one light went to Jack Huffman, who moves on to the finals. Now we're going into Super Modified. Teresa Salazar and Kyrie Floyd. Again, I don't think any of these drivers are NHRA licensed drivers, but still nice to have this class in the game. Last week in the Super Modifieds, Romeo Perkins won. Salazar was out in the first round, and Kyrie Floyd did not qualify, but here he is in the semifinals this week. Most stays up,
and smoked the tires. That's what did them in the end.
And the win line going to Teresa Salazar easily in this one, with a 9,500. And in our second semifinal, we will see Christy Arley going against Barbara Jennings. Could we see, and well, we are going to see an all-female final here. Jennings and Arley last week. Jennings did not qualify, and Arley was out in the semi-finals. So Arley is tying her performance from last week. So we will see if she can make it to the finals this week. And it looks like she will. Pretty straight run there. A little out of the groove, but nice straight run. Christy Arley with a 10.140. And now going into Top Fuel. The first semifinal, we'll see Billy Torrance and Clay Milliken. Billy Torrance and Clay Milliken. Last week, Milliken did not qualify, and Billy Torrance was out in round number 1. So both of these drivers looking for a good weekend. We jump up the points quite a ways. So we will see what happens here in this first semifinal. Billy Torrance and Clay Milliken.
Here's the replay of the moment where the right lane driver smoked the tires.
Clay Milliken takes
left
the win line with a 4.157. I think maybe might not have read that one right, but we are going into our second semi-final, as we will see Jordan Vandergriff versus Doug Coletta. Jordan Vandergriff did not qualify last week, and Doug Coletta also did not qualify last week, so top fuel points really going to be shaken up this week, it looks like. After this weekend, U.S. Nationals, a big race on the calendar, the biggest race on the calendar. So perfect timing for this game to come out. And Doug Coletta takes the win light in this one with a 3.621 to a 4.339. funny car final. Here we go, the funny car championship at the U.S. Nationals. Bob Tasca going against Ron Capps. Bob Tasca needs a good performance here. Not qualifying last week. Ron Capps was out in the first round last week, so both drivers are going to have a better weekend, but really want to take the win here at the U.S. Nationals, and it looks like that one will be going to Bob Tasca the third. Now going into our Pro Stock final. Erica Enders versus Dallas Glenn. Can Erica Enders submit an early season points lead here, but going for 2 wins in a row? Won last week and was the past qualifier last week. This week she qualified 7th, not having a very good run, barely squeezing into the field by 2 thousandths of a second. Close race there. And Erica Enders takes the win like 6.760. Erica Enders had the qualifying 6.786. Troy Kaufman 6.787. Both drivers qualified this week, but Erica Enders taking the W. Going into our Pro Mod final, we will see Billy Glover and Jack Huffman. Mod. Blackman, probably the favorite after last week, making it to the final. Going up against Billy Glover here, who was out in the first round last week. Billy Glover taking this one this weekend though at the U.S. Nationals with a 5.777 to a 6.965. And into our Pro, into our Super Modified category now. We'll see Teresa Salazar and Christy Arley. Christy Arley making it to the semis last week. Salazar out in the first round last week. So a good weekend for both drivers here this weekend. Arley qualified 3rd this weekend, and it looks like she will be taking the U.S. Nationals crown in the Super Modified category with a 9.656. Going into our Top Fuel final. Here we go. Clay Milligan and Doug Coletta. Clay Milligan qualified 4th. Doug Coletta qualified 2nd this weekend. So we have a 2 versus 4 matchup here in the final. Clay Milligan with a big burnout going into the final against Doug Coletta. Getting lined up who will take the Top Fuel U.S. Nationals crown. Getting staged. Clay Milligan on the throttle. Looks like the Coletta might have had a little bit of a problem. Clay Milligan taking it with a 3.643.